All right, everyone, welcome back to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. So this video is for September 18th to the 24th of 2017, and this video is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new, you definitely want to check the link down below. The signs are different here in this video from mainstream astrology, so if you notice some of the signs are different, that's why. And you definitely want to watch this for your right sign. So there's a link down in the comment section. Go down there, check out that video. It'll explain the difference between this sidereal system and the other mainstream systems. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new moon this week. It's going to be taking place right on the cusp between Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning for most of us. And it's going to be in Virgo. All right, so we had the sun shift into Virgo last week, very recently actually, last weekend. And that was likely a shift towards focusing more in terms of improving things, improving our life, improving our environment as well. Virgo is all about the details, working on finding solutions and that type of thing. So this is essentially what's being integrated now collectively with this new moon on Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, it is a challenging new moon in the sense that we do have a T-square with it. As a lot of you recall, we did have that last full moon also in a T-square. Except it was involving Neptune and Saturn, whereas this one is involving Chiron and Saturn. All right, so we do have that square to Saturn. We do have an opposition up to Chiron. And so I will make a separate video on this, but essentially what this is that I think it's very much a healing week. All right, especially especially the new moon, but even as we approach it, we do have the sun opposite up to Chiron. So we'll be activated pretty much right at the beginning of the week. Tuesday in particular, and then of course that new moon being right here on Tuesday, Wednesday. So healing essentially with the opposition, it means that we're usually confronted with something, usually with an opposition like it feels like it's from our external environment, maybe in a relationship. Often relationships are associated with oppositions, but whatever it is, sort of being confronted with it, right? Facing it. And so that's what makes this full moon so, such a great opportunity, is to face our wounds. And the wounds are obviously already there. But now this week, we have this another opportunity to become more aware of them. And what I always say with Chiron is it's so good to go head on into the area we feel wounded. Because the thing about Chiron is that it's an internal wound and it's not an external objective fact. Right. So in other words, if you feel wounded about something, it doesn't mean you're not actually good in that area or adequate. It's just that you have those inner wounds about it. So we're actually very good wherever Chiron is, usually because we've been compensating for it, but we're really good here objectively. It's just that we're facing those inner wounds and doing that inner work. So that's why I suggest going head on into it. It's actually very healing when we do that. When we face those wounds, take action in the face of those wounds, right, is fantastic. So we'll see which house this is associated for you after this collective reading, but that's essentially, this whole full moon is this awareness of these wounds, I feel like. Now, this is also involving a balance between the Virgo energy, which is again about the details and focusing on what we do have control over, while at the same time letting go of what we don't have control over. Okay, I don't think this is going to be a very watery new moon like the last full moon was with Neptune, but Chiron is in Pisces, and so in terms of the wounds, it has something to do with letting go of what's outside of our control. If you think of Virgo in terms of what is in our control, Pisces is what's not. And so it's this balance, this integration, right? Focusing on what we do have control over, which is ourself, how we respond to things, the actions we take, right? That's where the improvement comes in. And even the self-discipline of Virgo. But there's so much in life that's outside of our control, right? So surrendering to that, letting go, and that can be a very healing process. So that's what we've been healing with Chiron recently over the past year, entering into Pisces, is helping us become more aware of these wounds we have in terms of our connection to surrender. Or let's say the connection to the universe, the connection to the greater plan, or to God, or the divine process, or source, or the universe, however you see that. Philosophy is not Pisces, but it's whatever that connection is to that beingness of life, to the essence of life. and having trust and faith that there's something greater than just ourselves and greater than just what we're focused on. So it's that kind of balance. And if you can find that balance, I think it's a fantastic way of working with this full moon. And again, new moon. And if there is any wounds that do come up in regards to, this feeling of not feeling adequate to let go or surrender, to have faith, kind of going head on into it. And listen to your own inner guidance. Listen to your inner guidance. But if this confirms your inner guidance in terms of facing those wounds and taking action in the face of those wounds, I think it's a fantastic way of working with this. So in terms of the square to Saturn, he's been in Ophiuchus, and so there's been a lot of healing we've already been doing, Chiron, Ophiuchus, all associated with healing. But in this case, there is this bit of challenge here. Saturn squares are probably the most challenging type of squares, in the sense that Saturn's already a challenging planet. Squares are about challenging. So we could be feeling a bit limited here with this new moon. But again, as I always say, there's a constructive way of working with it. And it really is time periods like this that we really build things. And we build ourselves, especially in Virgo. It's like we build this integrity. We build this patience, this persistence, this self-discipline. And so anything you can do to challenge yourself here around Tuesday, Wednesday, but this is all part of this new cycle now. But around this week, anything you can do to challenge yourself to see the big picture, to be patient, to challenge yourself to take things slow and steadily and see that things take time, and to go easy on ourselves as well. Sometimes with squares to Saturn, we can be hard on ourselves or see things too densely, too realistically, where it becomes heavy. So patience, one step at a time, challenging yourself to do that, seeing the big picture. Again, remembering things take time with Saturn. And I think that's a fantastic way of working with this side of it. All right, so like I said, I'll make a separate video on that, but I did want to touch on those key areas. And again, we will see which houses this is associated with for you. So in terms of the aspects this week leading up to that new moon on Tuesday, Wednesday, we do have Venus trining up to Uranus coming into the week. We'll probably be feeling this on Sunday. In fact, probably mostly on Sunday of last week. But coming into this week, there's a bit of this spontaneity. We could be enjoying a bit of that, change, mixing things up, and just valuing that, valuing a bit of change. And also, too, with our relationships, wanting a bit of freedom there, or maybe enjoying some freedom in relationships or in that sphere, and change there as well, and spontaneity there as well. Okay, so it's great with Venus trine Uranus to just mix things up, try some new things, be open to change. And this is also going to be the ending phase of this last cycle. So I do want to say these 2 days, Monday, Tuesday in particular, they are the very last days of the cycle, which is usually a low energy time, a good time to sort of reflect, retreat, and meditate on things. And again, that sun is going to be opposite up to Chiron. So again, just becoming more aware of any wounds that do come up and then facing them, right? Facing them, going into the wounds, right? If there's anything you're afraid of or resisting or not feeling adequate about, kind of going into it. But because it is the ending phase, maybe this is more internal, right? Because this whole new moon is going to be this whole new chapter about healing and probably feeling quite refreshed and rejuvenated as we face those wounds throughout the next cycle. So the point here is these 2 days, it's more internal, whereas after the new moon, I think it's really good for that implementation. But again, listen to your inner guidance. And it's always good to, take action during, after a new moon, but, listen to your inner guidance, because sometimes it does take time for the new moon to gain momentum. And so we want to, be connected to our emotions, our feelings, our soul, which is where the insight is coming in during this time. All right, so along with that, here Tuesday, Wednesday time, almost exactly at the new moon, in fact, Mercury is going to be opposite up to Neptune. So yeah, there might be a bit of this more watery energy just these 2 days, not so much this whole cycle, but these 2 days. But it's more about, with Mercury, it's more about one side of us wants to understand things, and then another side of us just doesn't understand things, all right? We just don't. With Neptune, we're just not seeing things clearly. There's confusion or an unclear perception about things. All right, so again, really good for internal work, really good for spirituality. If you are involved with anything that does involve communication or correspondence these 2 days, just making sure you cross those T's, dot those I's, be as clear as you can with any correspondence or communication. And again, that balance. Mercury's, the ruler of Virgo. Neptune's the ruler of Pisces. Again, just like that full moon. This balance between what we do have control over and what we don't. Letting go of what we don't, cultivating what we do. And that could be a great force to work with. Now, I also want to say that around this time, Mercury's coming out of his shadow. So that's good in the sense that, if you've still been feeling a bit of that Mercury retrograde type of energy, which can sometimes be the case when Mercury's in his shadow, it's like things are still like not moving forward in some sense, or like we're still reworking something. And it's usually pertaining to things from the last retrograde. But Mercury does come out of his shadow almost at the exact time of that new moon. So as we get into the rest of the week, I think all things pertaining to routine, what we're thinking about, communication, all that kind of day-to-day stuff, I think is great to cultivate. But give it some time here with this opposite up to Neptune. All right, and then as we get into about Friday, we do have a nice aspect with Mercury. Mercury trines up to Pluto. We could be thinking quite deeply, a deep mind, deep communications, really good for research, uncovering hidden things. In the communication realm, being open, will just naturally be this way. I think we'll just be open, vulnerable, to the point, right? Just seeing the deep truth, willing to communicate the deep truth, and and use our mind in deep ways, however you might do that. So that's a nice aspect, and it's very supportive. And with all this fiery energy too, I think there's a lot of still creative energy. I think it's great to remember this. We still have all these planets in Leo. We have Venus, Mars, Mercury, all still in Leo. So it is still a time of, cultivating what we're passionate about, what we enjoy in life. I think the focus is certainly shifting towards the improvement with the Virgo, but remember that there still is this Leo energy. Great for trying new things in the sense of, with that North Node with Mercury, of what we find fun and enjoyable, right? And just being open to that. Passion, listening to that inner flame, what excites us, what we find fun, and putting energy into that, connecting with it, and even thinking about it. And with this triumph to Pluto, there could be this good ability to express ourselves and to communicate ourselves in that more passionate, or in a way that's more in alignment with ourselves. All right, and then as we get into the weekend, then we do have Mars opposite up to Neptune. So basically what's happening here is all these fast moving planets are all now opposing up to Neptune. We have Mars at the end of the week. Venus, I believe, will be next week. So here over the weekend, there could be low energy. And it is still, again, the very early phase of the cycle. So it is good to just kind of take it slow, as I was saying. But there is low energy. There is perhaps some sensitivity. This could be peaking here around Sunday time period. And, sometimes with this we feel a bit discouraged or apathetic. We're just not, the fire behind our actions is just not there. So again, it's about balance. There's a lot of oppositions this week. And here the balance is, again, letting go of what is outside of your control with that Neptune. But here in the sense of taking action. And also in the sense of what we want with Mars. It's our personal needs. It's the things we want now. But then Neptune is saying, but wait a minute. There's something larger here. Meditate, intuit this. Listen to that inner guidance. Put your energy in a direction that is in flow with where things are flowing in your life. Is a great way of working with this, because if we go into the imbalance of too much Mars, which we usually do have the tendency to do with this kind of opposition, then that's when things aren't flowing, and we could get frustrated. There's blockage because we're swimming upstream. We're not swimming with the stream, with the current, right? We're fighting it. So it's about finding that balance. Where can you align your energy and put energy into where the current of your day or of your life is moving? This is particularly Saturday, Sunday, and even Monday of next week. Okay. And if you are feeling a lot of the Neptune side of it, the apathy, the discouragement, discouraging sort of energy, taking action. It's action leads to emotion, right? So motion, we have to take initiative first before we feel like doing things. So obviously be receptive, but at the same time, if you're really feeling that Neptune, maybe it's good to bring in some of that Mars. some of that initiation, that drive, that action, that motion that can then get this thing sort of balanced here. All right, so that's the week in a nutshell. It's challenging, but again, it's about challenging ourselves, and this is the collective energies. You may have some easy aspects in your personal chart this week. That's why it's important not to read too much into this. But in the sense of the collective energies, this is kind of what we've got going on. A new moon in a T-square, new moon in Virgo, some new beginnings about improvements, self-discipline, working on the details of things, improving ourselves, our life, our environment. Great ways of focusing with this new moon. Okay, so sort of just sit with the energies around Tuesday, see what new beginnings are shaping up. We'll have a look here to see which house this is for you, but see where you can bring in some of that improvement in your life collectively for all of us and move that energy forward for the week, while again maintaining that balance with faith and trust with these oppositions up to Neptune. And yeah, and the moon's going to be in Virgo for pretty much the whole week here up until about mid-Saturday. Okay, so yeah, just really good, you know, to focus on the routine, focus on self-improvement, personal development, growth. Okay, leading up to it, we will have the moon in Leo, so we'll be good these couple days, which are again more meditative. Really good for those passions, really good for having some fun, maybe behind the scenes or in a bit more of a receptive way. And then as we get into about mid-Saturday, we'll have the moon going into Libra, Saturday, Sunday. So while we have this sort of apathetic energy with Mars and Neptune, there could be some themes relating to relationships, finding balance in your life, cooperation, harmony, that type of thing. All right, so now let's go ahead and look at this for the individual signs. There are links down in the comment section for each of the signs. I do recommend watching this for your sun, moon, and ascendant sign. Again, this is for sidereal, so it is different. If you are new, you definitely want to check the link there. And check out the calculator. That calculator will show you the actual position of the planets at the time of your birth, which is what sidereal is showing you, the actual sky. And yeah, check it out for your sun. If you don't know your moon or ascendant sign, that calculator will show you that as well. All right, so let's go ahead and have a look for the individual signs. All right, Aries, welcome to your weekly forecast. So this new moon on Tuesday, Wednesday will be in your 6th house. So just like in the general, this is the house of improvements, but more specifically for you, it's the house of whatever you do on a daily level. All right, so for a lot of you, this will be your work, your day-to-day work. There could be a new beginning here. Some of you may be new beginning with your work quite literally. And you have had Jupiter in this house as well. So I think for about the past year, you've seen the opportunities that can certainly unfold for you in this area, but it's still a bit early in terms of the opportunities, I feel like. Now, again, your personal chart's going to be the most important, but this is saying there's something to be patient about, discipline, long-term. Again, the squares up to Saturn. And then the next new moon we are going to have is going to be in a very close conjunction with Jupiter. So in about a month, there will be this new beginning again pertaining to your work or daily activities. And I think there will be more about those opportunities. So this whole idea about patience this week, again, facing any wounds you might have, these could be deep psychological wounds with Chiron and Pisces, or with your connection to God or the universe, right? To source, whatever your philosophy is there on that. And again, sort of finding that balance, getting that rest with Chiron, which is more of a spiritual type of rest, of letting go of what's outside of your control, but at the same time focusing on your work, your routine, self-improvement. A lot of you will be starting some new things with your diet, your regimens, that type of thing. And it's just great to set some intentions with that coming into the week. But again, patience with that Saturn there, things taking time. Now, coming into the week on Monday, Venus does trine up to Uranus, so you do get this sort of supportive energy here with your self-expression or your passions, whatever it is you find fun in life. And there's been a lot of energy here with this, so I think that's going to continue this week. You're motivated, very direct with your self-expression, or motivated towards any hobbies, interests, or again, things close to your heart. You're still thinking about them with that Mercury and connecting on this level, maybe with your relationships. Or just seeing the value of self-expression, creativity, and anything you're passionate about. So Monday, Tuesday, leading up to the new moon is when we do have that sun opposite Chiron. So again, those 2 days, I think important to face any wounds pertaining to those areas I mentioned. What you have control over, what you don't. Letting go of what's outside of your control with Chiron and Pisces. And seeing if there's any wounds coming up in the deep psyche. The 12th house is very, very deep in ourself, in our psyche, in our spiritual beingness. So things like meditation and all that can help this come forward, so it's more conscious. And then accepting the wound. It's really about acceptance with Chiron. And we're not perfect, right? Life isn't perfect either. That's what the 12th house shows us. And through that acceptance, I think there will be healing. There will be rejuvenation. And as we move forward with this new moon, certainly this refreshed energy as a result. Now, Tuesday, Wednesday, at the time of that new moon, Mercury opposite Neptune. There's some balance needed here, I think, with your 5th and your 11th as well. There's likely some dreams or ideals either pertaining to your aspirations or groups in some way, or the world at large, perhaps. And so you want to kind of balance that again with your passions, right? The world needs you to be doing what you're passionate about. Your groups or friends need you to be doing what you're passionate about. And your aspirations need you to be doing what you're passionate about. But it is a balance of both, because likewise, our passions here need us to be thinking about things larger than ourselves, right? This is the 11th house. This is the giving, the contributing, being part of something larger than ourselves that helps balance this out. So it's basically the personal passions and what the world needs or the group needs, what's larger than ourselves that we can contribute to, but find the balance, because it needs both, right? And this is something you've already been working on with all these oppositions up to Neptune and even that last full moon and whatnot. So just kind of taking it slow, being receptive to wherever you're putting your energy, especially as we get into about Saturday, Sunday, when your ruler Mars opposes up to Neptune. Okay, this weekend, there could be a bit of low energy, perhaps, a lot of the sensitivity. And so surrender, faith, trust as best as you can. Anchoring yourself, continuing to put energy into what you're passionate about. But then again, letting go of what's outside of your control with the future, with the aspirations, and even the ideals. It's great to have dreams, but to recognize dreams as dreams. And to live in the present moment, to surrender, have faith and trust. So yeah, and this could be involving groups or friends in some way. So again, that balance there with you doing what you're passionate about, but also contributing, being other-oriented. Because if the energy gets too concentrated into the 5th, it's too much about us, it's too much self-oriented, and it doesn't seek expression there in healthy ways unless we have something greater than ourselves to look forward to or to put energy into. All right, and Friday before that, though, we do have Mercury trining up to Pluto. So there is this deep energy, I think, with your mind, which is great. Also with your routine, too. There could be some maybe powerful changes with your routine, which is coinciding with that new moon around Friday. But in either case, your mind's likely very deep, really good for, again, that self-expression of the 5th house. Maybe you're learning something new about these passions or being passionate in general, being yourself, expressing yourself. And that's a nice supportive energy. And I think you're probably seeing the possibilities and potentials, which is transforming your perspective with Pluto there, which is good. All right, so that's the week in a nutshell. Aries, most simply, there's a lot going on. It's kind of a convoluted week, lots of different things. But essentially, we have this new moon in your 6th house around Tuesday, Wednesday. Really good for that routine or your work, setting some intentions with that. Give it time. It's still early in that phase, especially with these squares up to Chiron. And then these oppositions up to Neptune. All right, so early in the week with Mercury, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then at the end of the week, most importantly, with your ruler Mars. Just, again, you know, this balance between faith and trust and what you do have control over, as well as having fun, doing, you know, being passionate, but at the same time being forward thinking and looking into the future and contributing to something larger than yourself. All right, Aries, so have a fantastic week. I hope this video was helpful for you. And I'll see you all very soon for the next weekly forecast. All right, Taurus, welcome to your weekly forecast. So the new moon's in your 5th house. This is the house of what we're passionate about in life. It's also the house of romance. It's also the house of children, creativity, anything that you're passionate about, right? So a new beginning here. And this is a challenging new moon, like I was saying, with the squares up to Saturn. So it's good to be patient with this area. Understand things are taking time. In about a month, we're going to have that new moon conjunct up to Jupiter in your 5th, really emphasizing more of the opportunities, I feel like, in regards to this area. Because really, for the past year, it has been great for you to express yourself, to have some fun, do and cultivate the things you're passionate about. And that's going to activate that in about a month. So I don't want to discredit this new moon either, because a lot of you are going to have this whole new beginning with your self-expression in these areas pertaining to the 5th. But just in terms of the ease of it, this one is just saying things take time. And in fact, the sun just went in here. The sun's going to be in here for about the next 2 months for you, month and a half. And so it's all part of a sort of process. So I think just remembering that Saturn of patience, especially with relationship stuff, if it's pertaining to that, you know, Saturn in your 7th house, and facing any wounds. In fact, with the sun opposite up to Chiron, like I was saying, Monday, Tuesday, and with this full moon, facing any wounds you might have about group things, community-related stuff, your aspirations, anything that comes up here, really good to accept those wounds, because it's through the acceptance we heal and rejuvenate. And as I said, to go into the area head on, right? So whatever the wounds are, if you're guided to, going into it head on, and I think you'll find this to be very healing and rejuvenating new moon, especially as we move forward with it. So yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday is the new moon, and at that same time, Mercury does oppose up to Neptune. So there's this balance I do want to say. It's like, first of all, with the new moon, it's with the self-expression, but it's also opposite the 11th. And the 11th house is about things that are greater than ourselves. So remembering that, you know, it's great to have fun, to do what we're passionate about, but at the same time, it is about contributing. It is about being a part of something larger than ourselves. So remembering that balance, okay? But this other balance that I think you've already been balancing for the past month or so is going to get activated as well. Tuesday, Wednesday, Mercury opposes up to Neptune. And this is the fact that there's been a lot of concentration of energy here on your roots, whether it's your health or your home life or family or your location or something like that. Either of those things. And Neptune's been in your 10th, really muddling and fuzzing up the whole career sector. So again, letting go of what's outside of your control, but with the career or the productive stuff, I think will be very important this week, pretty much all week, because at the end of the week, then that Mars opposes up to that Neptune. But Tuesday, Wednesday with Mercury, finding this balance as well. That, of course, we have to be in good health to do productive things, and our home life has to be in good order to do productive things, and vice versa. We do have to have productive things going on to be in good health and to connect to our home life. So balance there, letting go of, again, what's outside of your control with that Neptune, and continuing to put energy into your health, into your home life, whatever it is, with Mars, Venus, and Mercury still at the bottom of the chart there. All right, and then Friday we do have Mercury trining up to Pluto. And so there is this deep energy, I think, this day in particular, which is positive. I think you're maybe changing some things with your health, changing some things with your home, whatever it is, your location. It's nothing major, but you're just seeing it in a real raw way. And maybe even communicating on an emotional level. Fourth house is also emotions. It's the past, maybe learning something about your past, but whatever it is, just have this really good link with this emotional side to life, especially with Pluto in your 8th. It's like kind of real, raw, open, deep, which is a great energy to work with. All right, and then Saturday, Sunday is the Mars opposite Neptune. So again, if there's any apathy, discouragement, whatever, as I was saying in the general, maybe pertaining to your career or pertaining to your health or home, just kind of taking the step back, seeing where that current is. Neptune is showing you something about your career and your productive life in terms of something greater here that, as you can be receptive to, you can put your energy into that direction. All right, but it is a balance of both there. Balance of faith and trust, but yet take action towards your health, take action towards your roots in life, whatever they may be. All right, and I also want to mention, coming into this week, Venus will be trining up to Uranus, just mostly on Monday, but you'll be feeling the Sunday of last week coming into this week. Really good for spontaneity, trying new and different things, maybe pertaining to your routine, but just in general, it is your ruler. So I did want to mention that. All right, Taurus, have a fantastic week. I hope this video was helpful for you, and I will see you all next week. All right, Gemini, welcome to your weekly forecast. So this new moon is in your 4th house, the house of home or family or your health or just the past. It's all the roots in life. It's also your soul too, connecting to your soul and your feelings and reflecting on the past and all this. But it could quite literally be a new beginning with your home life or your health life for a lot of you. This has been an area of expansion already for about the past year with Jupiter in this house. But that's going to be in about a month. In about a month, you're going to have the new moon conjunct Jupiter, which will be more of the ease in terms of seeing the opportunities that have been with this area. And I think the opportunities are still there. But again, this square up to Saturn is suggesting this bit of patience with this area, health, home, whatever it is, and taking things slow, especially with your routine. Saturn's been in your 6th house, really helping you ground your routine, your day-to-day, your work, take that stuff seriously. And so being patient with that as well. Now the Chiron is in your 10th house. So there might be some wounds coming up around your career or your public life. How society sees us, but also at work, our career, a public image. And and anything productive you do. So if there are any wounds that do come up in regards to this, like I was saying in the general, it's really good to go into it head on. Face any of those wounds, and I think it's a great new beginning to do that. And again, it is about balance too. This whole new beginning with your health and your home is needing balance with the career, because we can't be in good health or have good home life if we don't have something productive going on, achievement oriented, and vice versa. We can't have good productive life if we don't have good home and health life. So that kind of balance in terms of the new moon. And also in terms of your 3rd house and your 9th house, because you still do have a lot of energy in your 3rd, Venus, Mars, Mercury. And this is the house of learning, practicality, reading books, writing yourself, anything that uses your mind, which is your house, a very practical house. But this is balance of letting go of what's outside of your control with your life path. Neptune's been in your 9th house, which is the adventure of life, the spirit for life, everything that expands our horizons. And so we do need both with that. But if there is anything that is uncertain pertaining to this house, it's also the house of higher learning, house of philosophy, and the house of travel. Having faith and trust in regards to those things. And, again, balance. This is a balance you've already been working on, that in order to expand your horizons, you do need to cultivate what's practical in your life. And at the same time, you got to, expand your horizons in order to cultivate the practical things, right? What is practical can be developed into a possibility, right? So it's not just about getting into the details, the practicality. It's also about opening our horizons, seeing the big picture. So it's a balance of both of those. I do want to mention it's pretty much all week long because your ruler Mercury will be opposite Neptune Tuesday, Wednesday, but then Saturday, Sunday, then Mars opposes up to Neptune, and next week will be Venus. So it is this balance with these areas. And on Tuesday and Wednesday, during that new moon, if you do find that there are any things you're uncertain about, unclear, it's your ruler opposite Neptune, can make it a little more personal for you. Again, faith and trust, letting go of what's outside of your control may ease up some confusion. And again, just being as clear as you can with anything you might be involved with, involving that 3rd house of correspondence, communication, things like that. And Mercury does come out of his shadow at that time too. So things could be, you're just feeling, even though it's a new moon, which is a subtle time, you may be feeling like things are just not having to be reworked or rethought as much. Now Friday, then your ruler does trine up to Pluto, so then you have the supportive trine from Pluto in your 7th house. So it could be a powerful force. Maybe you're letting go of some patterns with relationships, facing some fears with relationships, making some powerful changes there. I don't want to blow it out of proportion, but it is good to have Pluto trining the ruler like this. It could be pertaining to that, and then also to this practical stuff, right? Communication, maybe getting involved in your community, connecting with your peers or your siblings, reading, writing, learning, practical stuff. Very, very powerful day for that around Friday, but a great time for that all week long. All right, and then the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, with that Mars opposite Neptune, it's a bit of balance between putting energy into what you do have control over, which I think the energy is just so well expressed through practical stuff, reading, writing, learning, basically. But then remembering to have faith and trust about this whole life path, something greater here, involving expanding your horizons, having faith and trust that the path, that you are aligned to your path, and we may not be seeing it as clearly, but we certainly are. All right, Gemini, so have a fantastic week. I hope this was helpful for you, and I'll see you all very soon for the next forecast. All right, Cancer, welcome to your weekly forecast. So this new moon is going to be in your 3rd house on Tuesday, Wednesday. This is the house of learning, the house of practicality, reading, writing, communication, connecting with your community perhaps, or your peers or your siblings. But whatever this is about, it's just getting into the practical, right? It's like the left side of the brain, learning, practicality, mathematical, that type of stuff. And communication as well. There could be this new beginning about understanding something about communication. So this has already been an area of expansion for you. You've had Jupiter transiting here, and the next new moon will be conjunct Jupiter. But this one is the Saturn energy of just this patience, persistence with this area, taking things slow. It's all very new too. You just had the sun enter this area. Now, the opposition up to Chiron. Chiron's in your 9th house of expansion of the spirit for life and your life path. So if any wounds do come up around these things, also maybe about travel or higher learning or your perspective on life, great to, as I said, go into this area head on, accept any wounds that do come up, and I think you'll find this to be a very healing new moon, a very healing time period of seeing the big picture, but then also the practical. Because what is possible with that 9th house is practical, can be applied. Not everything that is, possible. Well, no, yeah, everything that's possible, that is actually possible, can be applied practically, right? And vice versa. What can be applied practically, right? It's good to think big, see the big picture, open your horizons, right? It's a great week for balancing those two areas. Also balancing the areas of your 2nd house and your 8th house, because you have had already this balance needed here. And now we have all these fast-moving planets opposing up to Neptune. So this is that there's a lot of concentration on your resources right now. Either your financial resources, but most fundamentally your inner resources, such as your sense of self-reliance. And so this is also a reminder throughout this week to have faith and trust with things that are outside of your control that may be involving others' resources or interdependency, relying on others, and also have faith and trust in regards to what's deeper in life, right? Transformation, healing, all of this. This is very spiritual energy. And as you go into this meditation, you get, this rest or whatever, it's like you're connecting to the deeper dimensions of life for you to accept them. And so you become more aware of what truly matters most in life. And that's the balance between these two areas. Yeah, it's great to be cultivating our material life and our resourcefulness, but at the same time, to connect to what matters most in life. So there's just some awareness about that with the opposition. Always does bring sort of that awareness, but balance as well, because we can't have one without the other there. The deeper, what's real meaningful, as well as earth and the material life. And our more clear values, deeper values, regular values, you could say. All right, so this is Mercury opposite Neptune, Tuesday, Wednesday, around the new moon. Faith and trust also with communication as well, just being as clear as possible, like I was saying. Maybe getting some rest, intuitive time, if you're guided to. And continue to put energy, though, in your 2nd house, resources. You got Mars, Venus, Mercury here. All right, but just kind of balancing that with that faith and trust. Now, Friday, Mercury then gets a dose of positive support from Pluto, trine up to Pluto, suggesting transformations and changes with your perspective, most likely, regarding your inner or outer resources. And so it could be a really good day to make some changes, maybe with the budget, the investments, the savings, the income, or just feeling a bit, resourceful and feeling a bit like you can cultivate your values in life. It's like self-confidence, but it's more like self-efficacy in that you believe in yourself and that you can actually cultivate your values in life, which is good. So whatever it is, though, it's a deep mind perspective. Make some changes there. Maybe even some changes with your routine or your work. Friday. Then the week does end with Mars opposite up to Neptune. So there is this balance, as I was saying, between your 2nd and your 8th. In regards to Mars, Mars is also your career sector and your self-expression sector, your passions, let's say, things you're passionate about. So faith and trust with those matters, maybe over the weekend. Balancing that again, putting energy into where the flow is, and involving those resources in a way that, again, there's something larger here involving the deeper, more meaningful dimensions of life, you could say, in terms of putting your energy into where the current is taking you with that. All right, Cancer, so have a fantastic week. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to comment down below, and I'll see you all very soon for the next forecast. All right, Leo, welcome to your weekly forecast. So you've recently had the sun, your ruler, leave your first house, but you still do have a lot of concentration of energy in your first. You got Venus, Mars, Mercury all here. So things are still very much about your independence right now. Taking action, trusting your instincts, moving into the world, taking action into the world. But yeah, the sun has shifted into your second, and this new moon on Wednesday will be in your second house. So this is the house of resources on an external level, your material resources such as finances, investments, savings, things like that. But on an inner level, it is your inner resources, your sense of self-worth, self-reliance, standing on your own 2 feet to cultivate the things you value in life. So there's a new beginning with this, and this has been an area of expansion already because you've had Jupiter in this house for the past year, so it's likely been expanding, or at least you're open-minded about it, so it's good to expand this area. However, with this new moon, it's good to be patient. Again, it's involving a T-square. Squares up to Saturn. Continue to be patient with matters pertaining to your home or your health. Might be important with Saturn down there in your fourth. And the opposition up to Neptune, Chiron. Chiron's been in your 8th house, helping you heal any deep wounds of your 8th house. This is the house of vulnerability, of openness, of really connecting to life on a deeper level. So with any wounds that do come up about this area of really bringing down the walls and making transformations and changes and facing fears, really good to accept any wounds there. And as I said, to go into them sort of head on here, because it's suggesting that in order for you to cultivate your true values in life, we do have to be connecting to what matters most in life, which is the 8th house, and vice versa. To connect to what matters most, we do have to also cultivate our values, our material values. So it is a balance of both of those areas. And this week is also a balance between your 1st and your 7th house of relationships. Because at that same time of that new moon, we do have Mercury opposite up to Neptune, suggesting that while there's a lot of concentration on yourself, there has also been this needing of faith and trust in the relationship sector, right? And just being more intuitive about this area, putting energy into where life is taking you in this area. So listening, specifically Tuesday, Wednesday with Mercury, we could be thinking, a lot about ourselves and where we're headed and whatnot. But then when we think about the relationship sector, it can create confusion, doubt, uncertainty. So again, faith, trust, and if there is anything in a relationship area, just being as clear as possible with your communication there as well. All right, and yeah, the new moon's at that time, and then Friday, Mercury does trine up to Pluto, so then you do have this positive support here with, I think, your self-expression, expressing yourself quite deeply, maybe making some positive changes with the resources, which might be a bit confusing early in the week, and maybe making some positive changes with your ideals, or maybe your friends or network circles area as well, okay? And then the week does end with Mars opposite up to Neptune. So again, suggesting this balance between 1st house of self, 7th house of relationships. It's a lot of motivation, a lot of independence, a lot of drive you can be cultivating at this time. But again, see where you can channel that into the flow, into the current. Because life is, helping you have more faith and trust about this relationship area and really connect to your relationships in a way that is more present. Present moment, acceptance, unconditional, in a relationship, about relationships, your perspective of them, and just being as receptive as you can while taking action towards your independence, your personal needs, which is really getting activated at this time. All right, so Leo, that is the week in a nutshell. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to let me know. I hope this was helpful for you, and I'll see you all very soon for the next forecast. All right, Virgo, welcome to your weekly forecast, and happy birthday for those of you who have your birthdays this week with your sun in your sign, but all of you. have had your sun enter your sign since last weekend. So really good to start to focus in terms of taking action, initiative. Now, you still do have a lot of energy in your 12th house, which is very much not like energy and not initiative. So give it some time, and especially because this new moon is going to be squaring up to Saturn, is going to be opposing up to Chiron. It is suggesting things are taking time. Now, this is an area that's expanding for you, though, which is great. You had Jupiter in your first house for the past year. And so it has been a time of independence and learning more about yourself and expanding your horizons. With that being said, this new moon is just now starting this area. It's just now activating it. And next month, in about a month from now, we'll have the new moon in conjunct Jupiter, which will really be activating these new beginnings for you in terms of yourself and whatnot. Starting now, but again, it's just suggesting more of this patience with the bigger picture with those squares up to Saturn. So in terms of Chiron has recently entered into your 7th house of relationships for about the past year now, I believe. So if any wounds have come up in terms of relationships, either a relationship, your perspective of them, whatever it is, still really good to be doing the healing there. And this new moon will be activating that. So facing any wounds, accepting them, going head on into this area is just a great way of working with it. You know, the area of relationships. And I think this whole cycle is going to be very healing. And there could be a shift Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday time of feeling healed and rejuvenated. And just remembering the balance too between other and self, that while there is this new shift to focus on yourself and your independence, while at the same time maintaining balance with relationships. Our needs and others' needs can find that integration and find that balancing point. Now, in terms of the 12th house with all these planets, because your ruler is still here, so it's still emphasizing this 12th house of faith, trust, getting your alone time, working behind the scenes, getting in touch with yourself psychologically, spiritually, all this stuff I've been talking about in these weeklies for you for a long time now. This is also about balance, and it's balance with your routine and your work, which is now Neptune opposing up to these fast movers. So it's a balance of both, very much like I said in the general, in fact, for you in terms of letting go of what you don't have control over, focusing on what you do. Neptune's already been helping you do that in the 6th house, right? Just connect to your routine and your work in a more present moment, to have faith and trust about your work, your routine, whatever it is, and finding the peace there and integrating the two, because we can't have one without the other. You know, we can't have good work life if we don't have good rest and faith and trust and receptivity. And we can't have good spiritual life if we don't have good routine, you know, good time management, energy management, things like that. So balance there. Particularly Tuesday, Wednesday, your ruler will be opposing Neptune. So if there is confusion, there is uncertainty, whatever it is, again, faith, trust, letting go of what's outside of your control. Maybe in regards to your career, in fact, Mercury does also rule your 10th. And getting that alone time, getting that receptive time to connect. Now, as we go through the rest of the week, I think things will start to move forward for you in terms of these new beginnings with yourself and your identity and this independence and action and whatnot. A little bit as we continue this cycle or start this new cycle. And on Friday, your ruler Mercury trines up to Pluto. So you get this dose of now positive. On this day, you're just seeing this bit of deeper truth. You're willing to see the deep truth. And there could be some positive changes maybe with your home or your health, because that has been an area of change for you for about the past 10 years, in fact. You got some positive energy there. You're willing to remove obstacles. You're willing to make some changes if you're guided to in that sense. But you're just deep. You're just open. And again, there's just more of a flow here because you've been spending so much time in this receptive area that I think now, you know, in this, particularly around Friday, you're just seeing it. You get the clarity about it, or you're just, you know, deep and connected to it and connected to the present moment, which is fantastic. Then the last aspect of the week is Mars opposite up to Neptune from the 12th and 6th again. So, you know, Mars in the 12th is very much like this. It's already been this time of not coming, you know, full on, head on into the, you know, what we want and out of the gates. You know, it is about really listening, being receptive, putting energy where there is a flow, where it'll be the best use of your energy, and sometimes taking an indirect path instead of the direct path. Very much emphasized for you because it's the 12th, but it's also this opposition up to Neptune. Saturday, Sunday. And again, as I've been really hitting home, hopefully for you, is this balance between the 6th house of what you do have control over, and this balance between that and the 12th house, surrendering what you don't have control over, and integrating the two. Bringing in the presence, the acceptance in your daily routine, at the same time putting in some of that time management, energy management, so you can have this deeper connection to life, to your soul, and have peace and tranquility as a result of that. All right, Virgo, so have a fantastic week. I hope this video was helpful for you, and I'll see you all very soon for the next forecast. All right, Libra, welcome to your weekly forecast. So I do want to mention, coming into the week from last Sunday, you do have your ruler Venus trining up to Uranus. So coming into the week, you're probably quite spontaneous, or can be. Really good for trying some new things, maybe involving friends or your network circles. So still a lot of concentration here in the group sector for you. If it's not social like that for you, then maybe it's technology, or maybe it's your aspirations, thinking into the future, whether it's for yourself or for the world at large. So anyway, it's great to continue to put energy into that area and see some of that spontaneity, particularly on Monday. Now, the new moon is actually in your 12th house, and this is a very spiritual house. It is the house of finding peace in life, finding true spiritual peace. Once we let go of everything that's outside of our control, accept life, accept things about ourselves, even though we don't understand them, or we don't see it, we're not clear about it. It's usually very emotional feelings. So getting your alone time, meditating, all of this is fantastic now for the next couple months, which already has been the area of expansion for you this past year, with Jupiter in your 12th, helping you, see the value and opportunity of having peace and tranquility and alone time, or whatever it is. So now when you chapter with this, it's still early. The sun just came into your 12th house. This new moon is squaring up to Saturn, so it is already suggesting things take time and development. So anything you can do to challenge yourself with this area, such as meditation, for example, or spiritual activities, or challenging yourself to get some rest, whatever it is. And Saturn in your 2nd, continue to challenge yourself with your resources, whether it's finances, investment, savings, just being patient there, continuing to see the big picture with that area, but also with your sense of self-worth. Your self-worth has been getting more grounded because it's limiting, but it's that limitation that really builds things that are long-lasting with that inner sense of self-worth. Now, the new moon will be also opposite Chiron in this T-square, who is in your 6th house. So if any wounds do come up about your routine or your work or at work, or maybe involving self-improvement, facing them, going head-on into it, as I was saying, because this is about balance, that in order to have good peace in life, we do have to get into the work and routine, right? We got to do the time management, energy management, to structure time out, to self-discipline ourselves, to do things like meditate or spiritual activities. So if any wounds do come up about your ability to do, work and the routine or whatever it is, going head on into that can be very healing and rejuvenating for you. And as I said, I think this is going to be a very healing time for all of us. Let's see. Then at that same time, during the new moon, that Mercury in your 11th does oppose up to Neptune, which is another reminder of all this balance that's been needed with all these fast movers opposite Neptune, about how, yes, it's a great time for your future aspirations or group stuff, but at the same time, having faith and trust with the things you're passionate about. There might be some uncertainty, doubt about what you're passionate about, or being passionate. So faith and trust, because again, just like with all oppositions, they're really just two sides of the same coin. That in order to cultivate your future aspirations or group stuff, we do have to be, in this case, spiritually connected to our passions, and also being willing to not need to know what our passions are, but be present with them, in the sense of either the things you find in your life that are your passions, or quite literally the inner spark, the inner flame of just connecting to that in a more receptive level in the now moment. But balance of the two nonetheless, because our future and our groups do need us to be expressing ourselves, and vice versa, in order to be cultivating our self-expression and passions, we do need to be forward-thinking and really contributing to things larger than ourselves, which is, I think, what you're already focused on there. All right, so yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday is that new moon in that 12th, and then Friday you do have Mercury trining up to Pluto, which is nice. So you do have some positive energy here around Friday in the sense that you'll likely be seeing this, maybe some new forward-looking things, technology, innovation, friends, network circles, something positive here in terms of you just being real deep, maybe making some changes in this area. Maybe it's involving communication or correspondence. Whatever it is, I think it's going to happen naturally, and I think it's going to change your perspective, not in a major sense, but at least in a minor sense in terms of your 11th house stuff, future-oriented and group-oriented stuff. Now, the week does end Saturday, Sunday with Mars opposite Neptune. Again, balance between these two areas as I discussed. But, you know, with all this energy you're putting into your aspirations or friends, network circles, really good to, again, just see where the current is taking you, right? Be receptive as possible with this opposition and balance out, like I was saying in the collective reading, you know, that it is good to take action if you're feeling more of the Neptune side of it. And if you're feeling more of like you're just, the action's not flowing, if you're really into the Mars side of it, but it feels like it's not flowing, and remembering that receptivity. Now, Mars does also rule your 2nd house of finance and your 7th house of of relationships. So finances and relationships. So those key areas, surrendering again, faith and trust, letting go of what's outside of your control. Saturday, Sunday can be a great way of working with that. All right, Libra. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Please let me know in the comment section, and don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family. It's very helpful to me in the channel. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe as well. All right, so Libra, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you all very soon for the next forecast. Scorpio and Ophiuchus. All right, welcome to your weekly forecast. So there's this new moon, right? It's on Wednesday. It's in your 11th house. You've recently had the sun go into your 11th last weekend. So your focus has likely started to shift in terms of either your friends, your network circles, and or your aspirations. All right, the 11th house is everything that's forward thinking, future thinking. Some of you may be getting involved with technology, innovation, stuff like that. But whatever it is, it's still very new. The sun just got in here. We don't have the fast movers in there just yet. And this new moon is squaring up to Saturn, which again suggests a bit of patience with this area. So take it slow. Anything you can do to challenge yourself with yourself. Saturn's been in your 1st house the past 2 years. So maintaining healthy responsibility, taking care of your responsibilities, just grounding this slow and steady patient energy in you, in your personality, is just fantastic. Plus this healing too. You know, there might be some wounds coming up about your self-expression, and it's been, you know, Chiron's been here the past year. So maybe there already has been some wounds coming up about your self-expression or the things you're passionate about in life. And you're healing it, right? So this full moon is going to sort of activate this, where you can face some of these wounds, go into them head on, express yourself, get into some of those passions, because, you know, this whole area of the future and group stuff needs us to be doing what we're passionate about, and maybe healing some wounds can help cultivate that. Now, this area of, you know, groups and the future and aspirations has already been expanding with Jupiter for the past year. And so remembering that there is opportunities here. However, again, it's still early. I think the next new moon will be conjunct Jupiter in a month from now, and that's going to be activating a new beginning in a more of the opportunity sense with this area. Okay. But you do have a lot of concentration in your 10th. Your energy levels are likely high generally, collectively. Obviously, your personal chart will matter more on that. But you do have all the fast movers in your 10th house of career, productive life. There is oppositions with the planets up there with Neptune in your 4th of home and health. So again, remembering the balance between your career and your home health sector. right? Because we can't have one without the other. When I say career, I mean anything productive. So this is also future forward thinking, but we do have to stay connected to our roots. And if there is any uncertainty this week, pretty much all week long, Tuesday, Wednesday with Mercury opposite Neptune, and then Saturday, Sunday, Mars opposite Neptune. If there's any uncertainty about home or health stuff, again, as I was saying in the general reading, having faith and trust, letting go of what's outside of your control is so important with this area, and maintaining that balance too. We can't have good productive life without good home and health, and we can't have good home and health without productive things in life. And Tuesday, Wednesday with Mercury, maybe some of these matters pertaining to your future aspirations or group stuff being a little muddled, confusing, uncertain. Just know that this is, again, helping you surrender what's outside of your control so you can connect to this area in a more receptive way. And you'll likely notice that eases up, especially around Thursday, Friday. Friday, that Mercury then trines up to Pluto. So this will be a great day, I think, for, around Friday to put some of that change maybe into your career, maybe seeing things a bit differently in your career, maybe with your finances, your resources, just something nice supporting these earthy houses here. And then the weekend, Saturday, Sunday with Mars opposite up to Neptune. Again, this balance between personal and productive. But, this is your ruler. So over the weekend, very important, I think, for developing that balance between, again, this faith and trust, focusing on what you do have control over, which is really concentrated on the career sector, and letting go of what you don't in the personal sector. All right, but whatever it is, finding that balance. If you do feel more of the Neptune side of it, taking action. If you feel more of the Mars side of it, having faith and trust. All right, but striking that balance, being receptive. And you'll probably notice early next week, that energy easing up a bit. And again, it's just helping you be more receptive. And your energy levels could be low most certainly over this weekend because of the fact that it is your ruler opposite Neptune. But again, it's helping you connect to a deeper, more receptive nature of yourself. All right, so Scorpio and Ophiuchus, I hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all very soon for the next forecast. All right, Sagittarius, welcome to your weekly forecast. So the new moon is in your 10th house of career or anything productive you do in your life. Also the house of your public image, you're doing public things. And this has already been an area of emphasis for you for the past year with your ruler Jupiter in this house. So now a new beginning here involving this. I think there will be continuous new beginnings over the next couple months with this, especially in about a month, when the next new moon will be conjunct your ruler Jupiter in the 10th house. But, that'll be, I think, a time of the opportunity there and a new beginning with you in many ways. But it's all starting now. And I think just being patient, though, seeing the big picture with these squares up to Saturn and the new moon and this T-square with Chiron. So taking it nice and slow, remembering that for these next few months, you're still finishing up this, building this deeper connection with life with Saturn in your 12th house, getting in good health in terms of your spiritual health, and forming some good habits, and then maybe, working on your spiritual development, however you might be doing that. So patience there, integration with that, and then also too going head on into anywhere you might feel wounded. As I was saying in the general forecast, we have these oppositions up to Chiron. So the wounding might be in regards to your past, or in regards to your health. A lot of you might be actually physically healing at this time, or matters pertaining to home or family. So whatever it is for you personally, as I was saying, really good to go into the area head on, face those wounds, do the healing, and that'll be a great way of working with this sort of time period. And I think balancing too the personal life stuff such as home and health with this new beginning on your career, right? So we need to have both. Got to be in good health and have good home life to have good career life, and vice versa. We do have to be forward thinking and producing things in order to be in good health and to have good personal life. So balance with that, and also balance with this ninth house and the third house, which has already been the case really for you for quite some time with all these fast movers opposing Neptune here, this past month basically. And it's still great to be, yes, expanding your horizons, thinking big, tapping into that inspiration for life, that spirit for life of the ninth house, your house, where all these fast movers are. But now Neptune in the third, is confusing, maybe about more of the practical things, maybe about communication. You want to be as clear in communications this week as you can, or matters pertaining to correspondence. But also too, Neptune in the third is about surrendering the mind and observing more of the mind through meditation, perhaps, just be more present and aware of the mind. Because this is also balance, with all this expansion that's going on, it is good to remember to stay rooted in the practicality. Now, this might not be clear practicality with Neptune in the third, but it is this practicality nonetheless. So what I mean by that is it's great to expand, but at the same time, stay grounded, stay real, stay practical. And vice versa, it's not good to just get into the mental energy if the Neptune there. It can be confusing. To remember, if it's too much on that extreme, to expand your horizons, tap into a bit of that adventurousness. But it is two sides of the same coin. It is about balance of those two key areas. It will be activated Tuesday, Wednesday with Mercury, opposite Neptune. And so matters maybe also pertaining to relationships or your career. Those 2 days, again, surrender what's outside of your control with it. Have faith and trust. And then even Saturday, Sunday at the end of the week, Mars opposite Neptune. Same thing, faith, trust. But here maybe pertaining to things you're passionate about. And then remembering this receptive energy of finding the healthy way of finding peace in your life with that Saturn there as well. Healthy peace, healthy surrender, faith, trust, escape, but healthy escape in the sense that we're not escaping, but we're present, we're at peace, we're accepting. And it's very deep and it takes time to do that, but I think it's very rewarding as a result. Now, I do want to mention, though, that Friday we do have this positive, supportive energy between Pluto and Mercury. Pluto will be trining Mercury from your first house. So you'll likely hear around Friday, probably be seeing things in a new way. Maybe you're very deep with your communication. Could be some positive changes, in fact, on a minor, maybe day-to-day level with relationships, and also too with your career as well. Maybe making some positive changes there can be great. And it's really because you've been changing for the past 10 years very much with Pluto in your sign. And so this is another great step in the right direction of you transforming, metamorphosizing, but it comes very easy and natural. You're likely feeling quite free around Friday there with that. Okay, so Sagittarius, I hope this video was helpful for you. I hope you do have a fantastic week, and I will see you all very soon for the next forecast. Capricorn, welcome to your weekly forecast. So you've had a lot of concentration on your 8th house, which is everything deeper in life. It's about breaking chains, cycles, unhealthy cycles, facing fears, facing wounds, becoming open and vulnerable. And that's still a lot of concentration of energy there. However, the sun has recently entered into your 9th house, which is a more expansive house, adventurous house. Last weekend, and so now you do have a new moon here in this area. This is also the area of higher learning, philosophy, university studies, and travel, if it's any of those things literally for you. But be patient with this area. Even though it's unfolding for you, be patient because it is going to be squaring up to your ruler Saturn, and it's still very early of this. This is going to be an emphasis for the next 2 months. So remembering the big picture, remembering to stay true also to your aspirations, and because I think you've been working on your aspirations, forward things, maybe some of you taking seriously your group or community related stuff, networking, whatever it is here that you've been working on with the future or your network circles. Be patient with it, discipline, one step at a time with that square to Saturn. Now in terms of Chiron, there's recently, since about the past year, been maybe some wounds about communication or learning or practicality. that you're doing some healing with. So know that you're very good with the practical area, even though some wounds might come up, whether it's about communication or learning or whatever it is. So go into it head on. And I think what you'll find is that you're healing here, you're rejuvenating, you're refreshing yourself through this healing. It's going to happen naturally, but I think with you willing to do that can help you align with it. And that's the whole sort of take of this early part of the week, because the sun will be opposite Chiron Monday, Tuesday as well. So take it slow. We're still at the ending phase at the early part of the week. Then the new moon starts to unfold. Give it time, just patience, slow and steady energy. But expand your horizons. Really good to see the big picture. It already has been an area of expansion for about the past year. Matters pertaining to this ninth house. There's been opportunities here. That's probably going to get mostly activated in about a month when we have the new moon conjunct Jupiter. But know that the opportunities are there, and it's all starting to move forward in that sector for you. So going to this whole 8th house stuff, because like I said, you still have a lot of concentration of energy here. We do have these planets opposite Neptune, Mercury around the time of the new moon on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Mars at the end of the week, Saturday, Sunday. So maintaining balance in the sense of having, again, faith and trust with everything that's outside of your control pertaining to your resources or finances or your sense of self-worth, having faith and trust with resources in general. And that'll be a great way of balancing out some of this energy, because with all this 8th house stuff, this is about really, again, the deeper dimensions of life. But we really can't have one without the other, right? We can't have deeper things in life and what truly matters in life without a connection to the material realm, without good resources and finances. But it's requiring that faith and trust to do that. So balance of the two, developing that Neptune side of it, faith and trust there, but also to continuing to take action, continuing to think about and cultivate what truly matters, breaking these bonds, facing these fears, making these changes that I think a lot of you are doing on a very deep level, or can be right now with all these planets in your 8th house. All right, so that's the week in a nutshell, but I do want to mention on Friday that Mercury will be trining up to Pluto. So there is this nice, probably again, another step in the transformation area. Mercury from the 12th trining, Pluto in the 12th trining Mercury in the 8th. Very supportive here for spiritual transformation and becoming more aware of the fears or deep things that are holding us back. And I think you're doing that. You're making some positive changes there on Friday, however that might be manifesting for you, breaking those chains. All right, so Capricorn, have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching, and hope you you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share it with your friends and family. And I'll see you all very soon for the next forecast. Aquarius, welcome to your weekly forecast. All right, so there's been a lot of concentration on your 7th house of relationships. Still going to be the case, I feel like, this week. Thinking about them, direct with them, maybe motivated towards them. And even partnerships as well, by the way. But you're connecting to your relationships right now, seeing the value of your relationships with Venus there. So this new moon is going to be on Tuesday, Wednesday, and it is in your 8th house. So things are shifting. You probably noticed this last weekend, the shift of focus maybe more in terms of the deeper dimensions of life, what truly matters. For the next couple months, I think there's going to be this very good energy, which Jupiter's been showing you for the past year, of making transformations and changes, of facing any wounds, right? Doing the healing, breaking some patterns, facing those fears, right? All of this stuff that is really freeing you up, or will be freeing you up over these next couple months, as you, really get more in touch with the things that have been holding you back in life. It's the area of transformation, it's the area of change, but of course we have to go through all the layers to do that. And I think you're starting to shift your focus there on that, which is great. And this whole new beginning midweek will be in regards to this area. Now, it's still early. Like I said, the sun just got in here, but this new moon is going to be squaring up to your ruler Saturn. So it is suggesting this bit of patience, Also be patient too with the career productive stuff during this new moon. Take it slow, one step at a time. Saturn's been already helping you do that. And then continue to face any wounds you may have in regards to your sense of self-worth or your resource area, feeling resourceful, or maybe even pertaining to things like finances. So face wounds there, like I said, going into it head on is fantastic. I think it's going to be a very healing new moon. And it is about balance too, in terms of, yes, it's great to connect to the deeper side of life, but also too to connect to the material life and earth and the resources. And so finding that balance, I think, will be important. Speaking of balance, it's also balance in terms of relationships, right? Because you've had all these fast movers in relationships, but you still have Neptune in your first house. There's uncertainty about who you are, what you want, where you're headed. There has been for a long time with Neptune here, the past 10 years. So this is about a balance between your needs and others' needs, okay? But also, too, remembering to have faith and trust that things are unfolding in divine timing, as they always are, maybe pertaining to what you want, your personal needs in life, but also with relationships, right? Remembering that faith and trust there as well. And watching the balance, without going too much into us, too much into relationships. Finding that balance, I think, will be important. Tuesday, Wednesday, that Mercury opposes Neptune with that. So maybe pertaining to your self-expression, being receptive there. When it comes to relationships, communication, make sure things are clear, as clear as you can, with that in your 7th house. And then Friday, though, that Mercury does get trined up to Pluto. So there is this positive, another step in the right direction, a positive transformation change. Maybe around Friday, you're just feeling very deep, open in your relationships, which is great. Communicating that is great. And with Pluto in your 11th house, maybe you're feeling empowered when it comes to groups or it comes to your future aspirations. And then the week does end Saturday, Sunday with Mars opposite up to Neptune from the same axes pertaining to self and other. So again, it's all about balance. It's all about receptivity, letting go of what's outside of your control, and but maintaining to put energy into your relationships. If you do feel a lot of the apathy of Neptune, and if you you do feel that there's a lot of things you want in relationships but are being frustrated with the Mars there, remembering faith and trust with the life process and with who you are. You know, when Neptune's in the first house, it's not about knowing who we are in a practical sense, in a conceptual sense. It's about connecting to that on a soul level, to ourselves on a soul level, you know, and that beingness. You know, we're much larger than what our minds can conceptualize. All right, Aquarius, have a fantastic week. I hope this was helpful for you, and I'll see you all very soon for the next forecast. Pisces, welcome to your weekly forecast. All right, so the new moon is in your 7th house of relationships. I think there's some new beginnings taking place this week, but this is an area that's going to be activated for the next 2 months, so it's still very early. And especially because the new moon is going to be squaring up to Saturn, so it is suggesting this bigger picture, patience again, things taking time, slow and steady, especially pertaining to matters that are about either travel or higher learning or your philosophy or university studies, wherever you've been working hard in terms of this more expansive stuff in life. Remembering, yeah, things are taking time there, but you're building it, you're finishing it up actually over these next few months with Saturn finishing that 9th house. But yeah, one step at a time, bigger picture, I think is great to remember with this whole new moon. And also too, in terms of healing, I think a lot of you have been healing your self-image and your independence and your personal needs and your courage and your confidence for about the past almost year now with Chiron in your sign. So maintaining the balance here between relationships and yourself, right? That while there's this new shift of relationships, remembering to do the healing with yourself and to cultivate your forward, direct, confidence, independent energy and face any wounds involving that. And I think you'll find that to be very healing and rejuvenating as we move through this cycle. And I do want to mention too, you know, your ruler's already been in the 7th house of relationships for the past year. And the next new moon in about a month in a lunar month from now, from this new moon, will be conjunct to Jupiter. So there will be around the corner this new beginning with you in the relationship department, in terms of also how there's been opportunities here for you. So again, it's early, but know that the opportunities are there. This is a bigger picture thing. Expand on this level. I think you'll find that this is all setting a very good stage for these next couple months to come here. Now, there's still a lot of concentration of energy in your 6th house of routine or your work, and maintaining balance with getting your alone time, I think, is still important. With all these fast movers opposing Neptune in your 12th. So alone time, rest, meditative time, psychological time, learning more about yourself psychologically, just maintaining balance between where you can have more peace in your life. And as I was saying in the general, very much emphasizing letting go of what you don't have control over and continuing to focus on what you do, because the energy still very much is in the 6th house for you, what you do have control over. Your routine, your diet, how you respond to things, your time management, energy management. And that's exactly what can be setting the stage for more peace and tranquility in your life. You know, sometimes we have to schedule time to have time out. And sometimes we have to do self-discipline to do things like meditate, all right, and spiritual activities. So certainly a great week for balance with that. That same time around the new moon on Tuesday, Wednesday, Mercury is going to be opposite up to Neptune. So if there's anything confusing or uncertain regarding relationships or regarding your home or health, faith and trust, again, I think is such an important way of working with all these oppositions up to Neptune at this time. But Friday, that Mercury then gets trined up to Pluto. So those same areas, relationships, home, health, and even that routine as well. Get this positive dose on Friday with Pluto. Transformation, change, stepping in another empowering direction. You know, I think you'll naturally do that. You'll feel that empowerment. So utilizing it. All right, making some steps there in the face of any wounds, but it'll come very natural with that trine up to Pluto. Just deep, open, willing to make changes. It's good. And then the week does end Saturday, Sunday with Mars opposite up to that Neptune again from the 6th and 12th. Just staying nice and balanced with those personal needs. Again, there might be a bit of, collectively, there's just this bit of perhaps imbalance. If it's too much into the Mars energy, too much into the routine or what you want there, the day-to-day or the work, remembering that receptivity. But if there's too much of the receptive energy, alone time, whatever that is, remembering that you know, it's also about taking action. And the action here is in terms of your self-discipline, your routine, your work, because that's really what brings health and balance to the receptive area of life, to spirituality and rest and tranquility. All right, so Pisces, have a fantastic week. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to comment down below, and I will see you all very soon for the next forecast.